Hi, this is Acme with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Vox Markets for Monday, the 22nd of November. Starting off with ADVFN, which has had a bit of state building news today. We're already on the case with the break of that resistance line there from May, around 70 pence, bit of jiggery-pokery between 70 and 80 and 70 and 90, but the overall view here is that at least while we're above the 80 pence level, the old September resistance, the target here could be up to £1.30 over the next 1 to 2 months. That's the top of a rising trend channel from this time last year. On to Borders and Southern, which had briefly made a new low over the course of Friday, just hitting that support line there from March. And the hope here is that with a bit of bullish divergence, the shares will then head up towards the 0.85 level, which is the top of that March triangle, or wedge if you prefer that. And above 0.85, then up to 1.4. But obviously at the moment we're just looking for 0.85 just to see if the shares can break out of that negative pattern that it's been there since the early part of this year. Bullish divergence there from a line back in October. Time frame on 0.85 maybe by the end of next month. Onto a stock which has been requested. The requestee quite excited about the PR initiatives from Cellular Goods. And the other point to note, I suppose, here is we've got a rising trend channel that one can draw from back in September. Top of the channel heading towards 16 pence, and that's a target for the shares, at least while they hold above recent support around 9.5 pence. Just trying to break out of this, what looks like a mid-move consolidation, this bull flag here. The level to break at the moment, around 11.5, so above 11.5, looking to 16 by the end of next month on Cellular Goods. Coppel with a production rise or raise caught the eye today, and shares coming off their most oversold level. So we had them down to, I suppose, the most have been the lowest the RSI has been since this time last year, or at least the end of November, beginning of December last year. Just want to see the shares break Thursday's peak, which was around 24 pence on an end of day close basis. If we can do that, then it may be up towards the upper to mid to upper 20s, that 50-day line at 29.8 over the next 2 to 4 weeks. But obviously, that's not been an easy situation by any stretch of the imagination. Mentioned in the papers for Escape Hunt, we already had it on the bullish tack with the break of that resistance line there from April. That was versus 34 pence. It had 2 or 3 months, the shares tracking sideways. But the good news here is that the 200-day line is rising. And the next cross between the 50 and 200-day lines should be a golden cross, and that's typically, the run-up to that is typically the strongest part in the cycle. Probably looking at the moment towards a target for the shares at the top of a rising trend channel that I can draw from back in June. That's heading towards 46 pence. So above the 32, 33 pence level, that should be the target, maybe as soon as the end of this year. Onto a stock which I know is highly popular. We've got Global Petroleum next, and here it's doing well in terms of what we were looking for. First breaking through the 200-day moving average at 0.59, but then making a good attempt at clearing that line of resistance, or that resistance level at 0.75 from back in August. Need to see an end of day or a weekly close above that to open up the prospect of a decent upside at the top of that March trend channel, as high as 1.15 or 1.2 pence maybe over the next 1 to 2 months. Upside valued by behold above that 200-day line at 0.59. On to a stock which is perhaps not so familiar and probably wouldn't make the grade on a more busy day, but it looks as though One Heritage is just trying to break out of that falling wedge that we've had in place since May. Probably what would seal the deal for the bulls is an end-of-day close above the 50-day moving average at 46 pence. If we can do that, then it should be up towards retesting October resistance and the 200-day moving average at 60 pence over the next 4 to 6 weeks. The lower lows for November not matched by lower RSI trace, so basically that does suggest bullish divergence in there and the prospect of a move higher, especially while we hold above recent support at 35 pence. On to Mobile Streams, a company I've interviewed on many occasions, and here it looks as though we've got one of the classic charting and technical signals, i.e. old resistance becoming a new support. So the old resistance there around 0.47, we're at that level now. We just overlapped it a bit on Friday, but maybe that's cleaned out some of the weak hands. Shares also very oversold on Friday, with the RSI going down to the lowest they've been on this chart, which is more than a year. And the view is that while we're above the low of Thursday at 0.43, let's call it, the initial upside here up to 0.57, which is that resistance line there from back in September. Maybe we could see that by the end of next month. Moving along to a stock which again is not quite so followed, but looking at the chart, looks like there's plenty to grab hold of. We've got a wide rising trend channel for ThinkSmart in place since this time last year. Shuffling along with the new support coming in above old resistance around the 93, 92 pence level, and new support, I suppose, in the 95 area, above 93 in the floor of that channel. Looking towards £1.60 as soon as the next 2 to 3 months. Obviously, if you're cautious, you wait for an end of day close above £1.10, which was the initial November resistance. Finishing off with Zephyr, with its one of its frequent RNSs. Here you can see that the shares bounced off on Friday, bounced off the floor of that rising trend channel, which was a nice thing to do. The upside here up towards 11 pence if we are lucky, maybe over the next 2 to 3 months, but I suppose cautious traders would wait for an end of day close through 8 pence rather, before assuming 11 pence is on its way. That's it from me today. More updates rather here on at the same time tomorrow.